We are joined now by my all-time favorite college football player to watch. A guy once known as Johnny Football, who won the Heisman Trophy and beat Saban at Saban as a freshman. First ever to do that as a Heisman winner at Texas A&M. Johnny Manziel, welcome to Undisputed. It's been too long. I'll bump fish with you here across the table. Way to go.
It's good to see you.
So good to see you, sir. So you're in Scottsdale, Arizona now, Phoenix area. Give me just a typical day in the life of this Johnny Manziel at age 31.
Yeah, it's probably about an 11 a.m. tea time, followed by dinner with the boys, and then wake up and do it all over again.
I love that.
I'm on the golf course almost every day that I can be whenever I get a chance. It's, you know, something for me that's really freed my mental and allowed me to still be competitive, right? When I'm not playing football anymore, when I'm not getting a chance to go and, you know, be in a competitive setting as far as sport goes, golf gives me the opportunity to do that and really battle against myself. So
how's your game?
Good. The game's good.
I mean, are you still scratchy?
Yeah, I'm still around at one or two right now. So, I mean, I'm keeping it in the 70s, and I'm trying to knock it down and get it into the 60s more. It's a grind of a game.
And you play for a couple of bucks occasionally against your friends?
I mean, yeah, occasionally.
Yeah, okay. And you mentioned to me as you walked in, you still keep in touch with football because you have some of the players. Brandon Ayuk's coming out to visit, and you're going to have some sessions with Jaden Daniels where you'll play a little catch, throw the football around. This happens fairly regularly?
Yeah, I think, you know, for me, being around the game and being, like, still, you know, I've got a ton of friends, a ton of guys who I talk to. I still feel that, you know, I'm very behind the scenes when it comes to reaching out to guys that I enjoy watching. You know, every Saturday and every Sunday for me is just as it is for everybody else in the country. I'm on a couch, I'm watching the games, and I'm really intrigued by the game of football still. I mean, just because I'm not sitting here playing it and just because things went the way that it did doesn't mean that I'm not completely in tune and ingrained with everything that goes on during the falls. You know, I get a chance to go back to Texas A&M quite a bit every year and see 4 or 5 games. So,
well, it's known as the house that you built, right?
That's what they say. A&M's got an amazing stadium based off an amazing run that, you know, we had in 2012 that you were very much, you know, a part of watching. You know, very much, you know, awesome getting a chance to sit up here today because in the past, you know, going back all the way to the days of Stephen A. on First Take type of thing, I, you know, went and came on with you guys quite a bit and got a chance to chop it up. And, you know, we've always had a good relationship in the sense that, you know, you were a huge advocate for me throughout all the years, and, you know, it comes greatly appreciated from me, right? Like, we've never got a chance in years to sit down and do something like this where we get a chance to genuinely sit here and talk about what it is we love, which is sports.
You were a very special football player. I'd never seen anything quite like you. You were 6 feet tall, played around 200-ish, but you could move in ways that we haven't seen. You could escape in ways I had not seen. I'm not saying you were Lamar Jackson in game-breaking moves downfield, but I remember what you did to my Oklahoma Sooners in that Cotton Bowl. You went for like 250 against them. So you could destroy teams with your arm and your legs. So hark back. What was the happiest moment of that time to you? Can you when I bring up those times, that your life and times as Johnny Football, what was the happiest you ever were?
Are you ready for it?
Yep.
Walking off that field in Cowboy Stadium after we played Oklahoma. I think the Cotton Bowl game, as I look back on the whole thing, my high point of my whole college career was walking out of that stadium because, as you know, during those times, you know, I go and win the Heisman as a freshman. The question that came about after that Heisman Trophy ceremony was, you know, is this guy doing too much off the field? I had to do a lot of things for, you know, media, you know, Texas A&M, a lot of things like that, to where I wasn't at as many practices as I was supposed to be. I wasn't really, it didn't look like I was locked into that bowl game. And that bowl game for me meant everything to me because the year before, in 2011, when I redshirted, we played at Norman, and they beat us up pretty good.
I remember.
It was a cold, brutal day to be a redshirt freshman or a redshirt kid sitting on the sideline, and then to go have a chance to play Landry Jones in his final game, to go against, you know, Kenny Stills, a great Oklahoma team that they had in that game, was really full circle coming from the Big 12 the year before, being in the SEC. And anybody that always asks me if I could go back to a point in time that I truly feel I could have had the opportunity to do things different, walking out of that stadium would have been, or sitting in that locker room after that game would have been the point in time that I would drop myself into.
So what was it like at that moment to be Johnny Football?
Yeah.
As a celebrity, as an it kid?
In top of the world, for being a Texas kid who got to do what, I did. I don't think even at the time I realized what the magnitude of being, the first freshman to win that trophy truly meant, and it kind of got, we went back to back with freshmen winning the Heisman. Jameis came in the next year and won it as a freshman again. So to break down that barrier of what was really considered like a taboo for a freshman to win it. There was a lot of bias, and I was very nervous going into the Heisman Trophy ceremony that I wouldn't get the trophy just based on what, classification I was in school. And I think it was all a fair point. Like, it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of notoriety to have on your back at such an early, young age. One that I don't think I handled all the way the best all the time. But, looking back at it now, how can you? I was in a position where nobody had really ever been before, in a sense. I would say Tim Tebow did as a sophomore.
Yep.
But me and Tim are two different people. And he
Very different.
He is a solid person, especially at that person in his journey. And I think I was built a little bit more on smoke and mirrors at the time of who I was on a personal level.
Interesting. So then what was the lowest point in your football career? Where did you hit bottom in your football career?
I think walking out of that stadium after we played the Cincinnati Bengals in my first start at home in Cleveland, the week before we had played Buffalo and I got a chance to get in. And I remember just going through the whole process of having an unbelievable amount of nerves. At that point in time, when you're on an NFL level and you're on a, starting quarterback of a team, you can't really show weakness. You don't have the opportunity to show that you're a little nervous or you're a little scared about what the moment is. And I went from a person in college that was never shied away from the moment, never backed down from getting an opportunity to walk into the biggest, baddest, best stage ever. And then, walking into that stadium in Cleveland to start that first game was like, the first time I had really questioned my ability in a stadium in front of people. And when you question your ability in yourself, I think it oozes out into your play on the field. So, a low point is walking out of that stadium that day and not scoring a single point. And probably for the first time, maybe ever in my entire football career, we don't even put 3 points. We don't even get a chance to kick a field goal. No. We don't go down and score at least one touchdown in that game. So, the personal side of things where you start to question your ability and really, is this what I'm meant to do? Is this what my calling is? Is what I remember I am type of thing?
So I did enjoy the Netflix documentary on you. I assume you thought it was pretty to very good. Did it come out the way pretty much you wanted?
I think for me, it came out the way that I wanted, not in the sense of telling the entirety of the story. Yeah, a person like you who's been so, step by step and right along my whole journey from Texas A&M to Cleveland to life after, it's changed my daily interaction with how I walk around and people view me in the world. That is something that I can't really put a price on. So, yes, I think it was an awesome opportunity for me to get a chance to tell part of my story. But the way that people come up to me now is in such a better manner than what it was before. For years, after getting cut in Cleveland, I think, people were very down on me and had every right to be based off the way that I was, how I acted, really that persona that made me the Johnny Football persona that I had was tired and played out, and people were kind of sick of it. And it would show in my day-to-day interactions with people. And since the documentary has dropped, life is positive. People who come up to me it's more of the sense of, hey, good to see you. Glad you're here, man. Wish you nothing but the best. That's interactions that I get in life today that I didn't get before the documentary came out.
So the one shock to me from the doc was that you said, and I don't want to put the words back in your mouth, but that you didn't love football that much, that you didn't want it that badly. It wasn't the be-all and end-all for you. And I didn't know that, or I would have treated you a little differently, because I don't think it's what you thought you were born to be in the very end. Is that fair?
Yeah, it's fair to say. I think, you know, just because you're incredibly good at something and very talented and you've got yourself to this position. I remember people in my camp, my agent and the people that were around me would always ask me and be like, listen, you can come to us and tell us if this is something that you don't want to do. We can go do X, Y, and Z, and like life will still be great. Nobody's going to view you in this sense. And I look back at that, hearing those words now and understand what it meant. And at that point in time, I don't think I had the, you know, ability to look at that and say, you know what, even though I have all of this, maybe it's not what I truly want to do. For me, I left school 2 years early. Mm-hmm. So, you know, how am I going to make a decision to leave Texas A&M with 2 years of eligibility left and then get to the NFL game and then in such a short period of time, you know, say that I don't love the game? Does that make a lot of sense? So, you know, I think for me, and the way I view it now, is college football is the sport that I genuinely, truly love. If I'm going to go watch anything on a weekend or in the fall, I'm going to a college football game. Mm-hmm. The NFL is great. I love the product they put on the field. It is truly the best of the best. And I'm very thankful for that I got the opportunity to even have a chance to play in that league. But however, I'm rooted in college football. And no days for me will ever be better than Saturday in the SEC. Then going into Tuscaloosa, Alabama, then going into Auburn, then playing in some of these stadiums that are legendary for me. And nothing will ever top running out on the field in maroon and white and being an Aggie. And it's the same thing for me now, essentially getting a chance to even walk back on that field. And we've had some great moments over the years with Texas A&M football, some good ones, some bad ones, and some ones in between. But, you know, I've got a chance to be there in that stadium when we come back and beat Alabama for the first time since we did in 2012. So, you know, I'm an Aggie. I love that school. I love my college football career. And, like, you know, I'm proud of that and what I accomplished, and it was great. Now, do I wish I made better decisions when it came to coming to the NFL and would things have been different? Probably so.
Okay, so in some of your darkest times, lowest moments, you resorted occasionally to some recreational drug use. And now that I look back, you're almost like medicating yourself against, I don't even know if I want to do this. And the expectation and the pressure, some of which I heaped upon you, unfortunately. Is that fair to say? Is that?
Yeah, I think I was running from a lot of problems that I had in life. And it's really tough when you don't know yourself well enough to know who you are as a person. Like, as a young man going into the NFL at 22, 23 years old, I don't think I truly knew what made me tick, what I enjoyed in life. And I think I was just doing what I thought I was supposed to do. And I was probably living to appease other people as well as running from the problems that I had in my life. Yeah. I'm much more now of like a deal with my problems head on kind of person. And what I say is, you know, I kind of just take the air out of the room when it comes to my problems and just get straight to the bottom of it. And, like, you know, listen, I've had things in my life that have affected me in certain ways that now I've got a chance to uncover and get my mental health to a place where, you know, happiness is in my life is what I want to make it. You know, the life that I want to live is what I want. And, you know, I can be at peace with that. I can be at peace with being the first freshman to win the Heisman Trophy and a legend at Texas A&M. I can be at peace knowing that, you know, I made a splash and an impact on the game of college football forever, and that it didn't work out in the NFL. And the only person that I have to blame for it not working out in the NFL is myself. You know, to go into that league, you see guys all the time, what it takes, the grind, the work ethic, all of it. And if you don't have it all bundled into one, you're going to have some failures. And, you know, at that point in time in my life, I wasn't able to handle the things that came with being an NFL quarterback. And at the end of the day, it's a shame. It's too bad, but it's the way life went and what I have to work with. So it's on to the next type of mindset for me.
Yeah, when you walked in the studio, you glanced at the highlights of yourself running on camera in the monitor, and you said, that was pretty good. You did that, you achieved that, and you have made peace with what you did achieve, because you can't take that away. And that's a beautiful, like, you're in a good place now with yourself.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. Very much. I mean, look back at these plays and stuff. Like, I got a chance to go and do some amazing things. Like, altogether, was it exactly what I wanted or what I envisioned? No. But sometimes that's not how life goes. You know? I got a chance to make some amazing friends, some amazing memories, and some amazing brothers. There's nothing that'll ever affect my life in the same way that it, you know, walking into these locker rooms and getting a chance to walk into these stadiums and play this beautiful game we call football. I mean, it is a great game. It is a great sport, and one that I feel very, very lucky that I had the opportunity to do the things that I did. It's a blessing.
Yeah, it is. So I got so fired up. I so believed in Johnny football that when you sent that text to Dow Loggins, remember this on draft night, and you're falling down the first round, but Cleveland's sitting there with Jimmy Haslam in the war room, and you said, let's wreck the league. Remember you sent that text? And I thought, yeah, that's what he's about to do. So silly me, I went so far as to say you could become bigger in Cleveland, Ohio than LeBron James, because football is king in Cleveland, as you found out. Baseball is second and basketball is third. So I thought if Johnny does what I think Johnny is capable of doing, you can own Cleveland, Ohio. And it didn't go that way. So I guess I'm apologizing to you. I hope I didn't increase the expectation to extraordinary levels that you couldn't live up to.
No, I think it's expectations from everybody, right? I think based on what I had done in college and where, you know, the Browns were at that point in time, you know, I think it very much was the wrong fit, just dependent on that savior role, right? And, you know, I look back about it and laugh a little bit because at the end of the day, you know, I had high expectations for myself, Skip. Like, it wasn't just you. The same way that you thought about me and you spoke about me is probably how I genuinely felt with where my ego and where I was at that point in time in my life. Like, if you would have asked me in 2014 if I was going to be as big as LeBron James, I probably would have told you, hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
I would have told you absolutely.
Yeah. No,
like, that is what I want my goal to be.
Yeah.
And especially, as you know, I signed with Maverick, and I was with LeBron's agency, and I was right there with them. And, you know, that's what I spoke about a little bit on the interview that I had with Shannon.
And Drake believed in you. Like, you got big friends saying you got next.
Yeah, and here's the best part about that now is, like, even through that all that I've been and where I'm at today in life, you know, I still have the ability to call those people my friends. And it wasn't based or dependent on just where I was at in life. You know, 10 years later down the line, I'm still able to call those people friends and still have a relationship with them. So, you know, I had an unbelievable opportunity where I got a lot of the help that a lot of the people who come into the NFL don't get. And that's the thing that's probably even a little bit tougher is, you know, I had the, you know, LeBrons in my corner. You know, I had the Drakes in my corner. So how do you have all of this and everything else and it still doesn't go this way? And it comes down to just yourself. You know, it comes down to not being in a place with yourself or in a place to handle the position that you're in. But, you know, the way things went in Cleveland, I look back at it now and say it's probably meant to be exactly the way that it was supposed to be. You know, I feel lucky to be here on this earth where I'm at today in life, going through the trials and tribulations that I went through, because there were days in the past where I truly didn't know if I would have another day, if I would have another good day type of thing.
Yeah. By the way, I've heard from a little bird there may be a movie in the works about your life and times. Is that out there?
There's some things in the works that I have. There's avenues in my life where I sit here today in a space where I feel very positive and very hopeful about everything that's going on in the future, from, you know, entertainment to this, to that, to whatever it is. You know, I'm happy, and I think I've got a lot of good things coming up.
I just want you to know I'm very proud of what you've become.
I appreciate that.
You're very at peace, and I feel the peace across the table, and this is who you are meant to be from day one.
Well, I appreciate it.
Way to go. So hang with us for a couple of minutes, and we'll actually get Johnny Football to talk about some football up next.